Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Feng immediately stood up, saying that he is really not that kind of casual person. At this time, Ziyuan's body trembled slightly, as if she also felt that something was missing. It is related to his image of a decent gentleman. Qin Feng casually put the bellyband embroidered with ducks into his portable space, and then pretended to be in a trance and having an epiphany. After Ziyuan opened her eyes, she clutched her chest in a panic. What happened? Why does my personal clothing disappear? Apart from her, there are only two men left in the cave, Qin Feng and Lin San. First of all, Qin Feng can be excluded. What does he know as an 8-year-old kid? What's more, Qin Feng is still enlightened now, so it is even more impossible, so it can only be Lin San. Still pretending for me here. Ziyuan looked at Lin San, who was meditating, and the anger in her heart couldn't stop rising, and a blush appeared on her pretty face. Besides the shyness of her daughter, it was more of her anger. I didn't expect him to be such a lowly person. Shameless, rascal, return the things to me. Ziyuan's small universe finally exploded, and she got up and raised her hand to reward Lin San with a big mouth. What is this? Lin San woke up with a dazed expression, not understanding why Ziyuan whipped him. Sister Ziyuan, what did brother Lin take from you? Qin Feng also woke up, asking innocently. Ziyuan couldn't be called a bellyband, stomped her feet angrily and ran out of the cave, disappearing into the night. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully planting the chosen son, making it disgusted by girls and gaining 500 villain points. Fortunately I'm smart enough. Qin Feng breathed a sigh of relief, and felt that the system was not serious, knowing that he is an upright gentleman, but giving him such unscrupulous skills is not to make it clear that he is going to destroy the glorious image he has built up over the years. What? Ziyuan's scream came. Obviously she was in danger. No, something happened. Lin San didn't care about why Ziyuan whipped him, grabbed the long sword beside him and rushed out of the cave quickly. Isn't it? I just got disgusted. Here comes the hero to save the beauty and pretend to be a chance to increase the favorability. Qin Feng became more and more speechless about the unreasonableness of the chosen son, and he simply stopped pretending. With a sudden kick of his feet, he rushed out of the cave like an arrow off the string. As an inspirational man who wants to become the fastest man in the ancient times, his speed is not blown out. Even if Lin San runs 100 meters first, he can easily catch up. What kind of agility is this? Lin San was extremely shocked, seeing Qin Feng passing over his head. The body skills cultivated in the normal transcendent realm can at best make people faster, but Qin Feng's body skills are not only as light as a swallow, and there is no trace on the snow, but also allow the body to slide hundreds of meters in the air. It can fly hundreds of meters away. It can be said that Qin Feng's agility has initially possessed the ability to fly. Roar. A powerful roar resounded through the night sky, causing the air to turmoil, and even the ground trembled. Monster! Qin Feng frowned slightly, and landed on the treetop, condescending. Looking up, she saw 100 meters away. Ziyuan was forced to retreat again and again, and a monster shaped like a tiger was roaring ferociously at her, reflecting the length of 2 feet. The tiger's mouth has 2 half-meter-long fangs, which ooze with metallic light and are obviously sharp. The most special long hair on the body is as hard as steel. Toothed tiger monster. A large-scale ferocious tiger monster. Judging from its aura, it has the extraordinary strength of 9 levels. Brother Qin, we need to work together. Lin San finally arrived, seeing the serious expression on the toothed tiger monster's face. Due to the difference in system and living environment, monsters of the same level are much stronger than humans, especially those carnivorous monsters are not only stronger than cultivators, but also more ferocious. Now with him at the 4th level of the extraordinary, Qin Feng at the 2nd level of the extraordinary, and a good-for-nothing young lady at the 3rd level of the extraordinary, it will definitely be a fierce battle against the toothed tiger monster at the 9th level of the extraordinary. That's why we need to join forces. Qin Feng didn't serve as an assistant for the chosen one, and finally saw his habit of trying to turn the tide and pretend to be a chick. Besides, his Dawei Tianlong is the nemesis magic skill of the monster clan, so he doesn't need to think about anything at all, just do it and finish the job. I saw Qin Feng leaping from the tree and landed firmly in front of Miss Ziyuan. Young Master Qin, Ziyuan's excited voice trembled a little, looking at the not-so-tall figure in front of her. Her flustered heart unexpectedly calmed down inexplicably. Roar. When the toothed tiger monster saw Qin Feng, it immediately let out a powerful roar, and the icy and piercing breath filled the forest instantly, rushing towards Qin Feng like a torrential river. Suddenly, Qin Feng seemed to have sensed the danger. He put his arms around Miss Ziyuan's small waist, stepped on his feet suddenly, and landed on a big tree behind him like a wild goose. Boom. The gigantic figure of the toothed tiger monster jumped up, like a falling star, and slammed into the place where Qin Feng was standing before, and the waist-thick tree trunks around him turned into sawdust. What a terrifying speed! Ziyuan couldn't help but swallowed. If Qin Feng hadn't hugged her to dodge just now, she might have become the late-night snack of the toothed tiger monster. Roar! After the toothed tiger monster flew into the air, it became visibly irritable, and swooped towards Qin Feng again. Lin San shouted anxiously from the side, "Brother Qin, don't be self-willed anymore, we can only defeat it together." "You are really annoying." Looking at the tiger-toothed monster rushing towards him like a huge mountain, Qin Feng's black eyes were filled with chill. If his eyes were as sharp as blades before, now his eyes are as vicious as poisonous snakes. At the moment when the sharp claws of the toothed tiger monster were about to hit Qin Feng, the sky sword Excalibur in Qin Feng's hand came out of its sheath like lightning, slash the sky and draw the sword. Clang! The crisp sound of unsheathed swords resounded through the forest, and the light of the sword briefly illuminated the night, and the rampaging toothed tiger monster seemed to have stopped. Ho-ho! Qin Feng couldn't help panting heavily, his arms began to tremble uncontrollably. Puff! I saw a bone-deep wound burst on the toothed tiger monster's body, and blood gushed out like it didn't want money. However, due to the large difference in levels between the two sides, this sword did not kill the toothed tiger monster, but completely aroused its ferocity. Roar! The toothed tiger monster roared angrily, causing the air to turbulent, and its huge mountain-like body rushed towards Qin Feng. Along the way, the waist-thick trees of several people continued to split, giving people a strong sense of oppression. "Young Master Qin, be careful!" Ziyuan immediately exclaimed, and her heart jumped into her throat. "Brother Qin, don't panic, I'm here." Lin San flew forward quickly with his sword in hand, which was obviously a head-grabbing act. "Damn, want to grab the head." Qin Feng's heart exploded with a cry of national quintessence, and he no longer hides his clumsiness and pinches out one after another. Dawei Tianlong, World Venerable Xidagarba. Chapter 22 Selling Teammates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Roar! A dragon chant resounded through the forest, and the golden light lit up the night sky. Boom! I saw Qin Fengqi slapped his dantian with a palm, and a dull sound suddenly resounded in the forest. The tiger-toothed monster galloping forward was like a kite with a broken string. It slammed to the ground and lifted up fallen leaves all over the ground. After convulsing several times, it finally died of exhaustion. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for preventing the chosen son from pretending to be aggressive, preventing him from gaining favorability with girls, and getting 500 villain points. What kind of move is this? Lin San's eyes stared like copper bells, as if he saw a ghost. I thought Qin Feng's sky-slashing and drawing sword technique was terrifying enough, but he didn't expect that this move of Dawei Tianlong was even more terrifying than heaven-slashing and drawing sword technique, and it was able to kill the transcendent 9th-level toothed tiger monster beast in seconds, even though the toothed tiger monster beast was seriously injured at this time. The impact of his first sword after 100 years was not so great for him to kill the transcendent 9-layer monster beast in a second with his second-level cultivation. Young Master Qin is amazing. Ziyuan's eyes were full of strangeness, and her favorability for Qin Feng increased greatly. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for preventing the chosen son from pretending to be aggressive, preventing him from gaining favor with the goddess, and getting 500 villain points. Hey, it's not easy to earn 500 points. Qin Feng exhaled deeply, and was completely exhausted and collapsed on the ground. Dawei Tianlong's damage to the Yaozu is indeed high, but the consumption is also terrifying. He fought with his ex-girlfriend for more than a dozen consecutive Cold Wars, and his legs felt like they were floating. Snapped, snapped, snapped. There was a burst of applause, and the three of them immediately looked around vigilantly. I saw a man with a scar coming out of the forest with a group of younger brothers. Judging by their clothes, we knew they were members of the Tiger Gang. Young hero, what a skill. The man with the scar glanced at the three of them, and asked coldly, if I'm not wrong, you killed my disciple of the Tiger Gang. If you don't give an explanation today, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave. Confession. Before Lin San could speak, Qin Feng arrogantly said, you have to explain to my elder brother Lin San, are you okay? Let me tell you, we do things like this. Puff. Lin San almost spat out old blood, saying that he was not familiar with Qin Feng at all. Brother, I'll go down and rest for a while, and I'll leave these scumbags to you. Qin Feng took Zi Yuan's little hand and turned to leave. Before leaving, he did not forget to give a domineering middle finger. So brave. The face of the man with the scar turned gloomy instantly, feeling that the little universe couldn't suppress it anymore. Originally, when he saw the scene of Qin Feng fighting against the tiger-toothed monster, he knew that the other party was a peerless arrogance. Everyone just had to go through the motions and give him a step to explain in front of other younger brothers, but instead of giving him face, the other party slapped him twice in front of the younger brother. It's bearable, uncle can't bear it. Auntie can bear it, but I can't bear it. Misunderstanding, misunderstanding. Lin San hurriedly explained, actually, you also know my brother, he is your master, the eldest son of the Qin family, Qin Feng. Qin Feng. Qin Feng. He is Qin Feng. Everyone in Weihu Gang immediately exclaimed. As a small force on the th line in the eastern region of Great Xia, naturally he is not qualified to see the real face of the eldest son of the Qin family, but he has heard about Qin Feng's deeds for a long time. The legendary talent of the great emperor, the future hope of the Qin family, broke through the transcendent realm at the age of 8. And defeated the successor of the Sky Sword God with his own creation of the sky slashing and drawing sword technique. Everything, every single thing all shows its terrifying potential. What he is most familiar with is probably the matter of digging out the bones of his younger brother and defecting to the Qin family. Now the Qin family has issued a hunting order for him. Anyone who can kill Qin Feng can take his body to the Qin family to get 100 million top-grade spirit stones. As soon as the news came out, Huanggu was boiling. Now anyone who thinks they have some ability is on their way here, but they didn't expect this big fat sheep to be met by them. What does it mean? Lin San murmured in his heart, feeling that something was wrong. After hearing Qin Feng's name, they didn't intend to kneel down and beg for training. Instead, their eyes lit up as if LSP had met a peerless beauty. Leave this person to me, you guys go after Qin Feng. The man with the scar stared straight at Lin San solemnly. After witnessing Qin Feng's terrifying combat power in killing extraordinary 9th-level monsters by leapfrogging, he did not dare to underestimate these peerless talents. What's more, the man who is called the eldest brother by the evil son of the Qin family, just think about how terrifying his combat power will be. A lion fighting a rabbit needs all his strength. Yes. Weihu helped his disciples take orders, and hurried to catch up with Qin Feng and the other two. Whoosh! A terrifying aura fluctuated around the man with the scar, causing the surrounding air to shake for a while, and a fierce tiger roaring in the mountains and forests appeared behind him. Fuck, at the 3rd level of the spiritual martial realm, he is the leader of the Tiger Gang. Lin San immediately swears, and he's done calling in his heart. The man with the scar didn't give Lin San any time to react, kicked his feet suddenly, and took the initiative to attack Lin San. Tigers come down. A very common move, but the man with the scar is very proficient in controlling it. A simple move gives people a sense of terror and oppression. Wherever it passed, the sand and stone rolled back, and cracks spread out on the ground. Clang clang. The sound of a gold-iron confrontation echoed in the forest. The air was violently shaken, and the humming sound was endless. Lin San quickly drew his sword to resist, and the two sides collided heavily. The strong impact made his right arm slightly numb, and the long sword in his hand was even thrown out. Sure enough, he is not an ordinary cultivator. That the man with the scar turned pale with shock. The fourth level of supernatural power was able to block his attack from the third level of spiritual martial arts. He immediately increased his output, and vowed to make a quick victory. No, it's too strong, can I only use that trick? Lin San hated Qin Feng to death in his heart at this time, and he had never seen such a sixth child who hurt people behind his back. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for calculating the chosen son and getting 2,000 villain points. Qin Feng was running wildly in the forest with Zi Yuan, praying for Lin San to save some energy and buy them more time. We left like this, what will Mr. Lin do? Zi Yuan's face was full of worry, and she was very resistant to selling her teammates. Don't worry, he'll be fine. Qin Feng was just the opposite. He was unambiguous in selling his teammates, and a few more chosen ones also expressed no pressure. But Zi Yuan wanted to say something else, but suddenly there was a high-pitched sword cry from behind, accompanied by a glaring sword light and fierce sword energy sweeping across the forest. Whether it was the disciples of the Weihu gang who were chasing after him, or Qin Feng and Zi Yuan didn't react, and were directly hit by the storm of sword energy. Puff. Zi Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, and fainted in Qin Feng's arms. Use this to test the cadres. Qin Feng looked at Zi Yuan in his arms, and said that he had reached his limit, and he lay on the ground and didn't want to move. Soon the forest disappeared into the night again, and the grass under the trees began to be full of vitality, and the small animals were squabbling and making faint rustling sounds. In the early morning, there will be a few more small white flowers. When the wind blows, you can occasionally see the delicate red flower heart, which is the color of life. Chapter 23 Transplanting the Supreme Bone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, the sun shines through the gaps in the branches and shines on Zi Yuan's fair face. Ha, ha. Zi Yuan clicked her mouth and rubbed her eyes to wake up, but the next second she was stunned, seriously doubting whether she had an illusion, only to see that she was lying in Qin Feng's arms. Her posture was quite ambiguous, and his hands were also placed where they shouldn't be. If she remembered correctly, she should have remembered correctly, her duckling was not worn. What? A scream broke the silence of the early morning, and also startled a group of birds and beasts in the forest. Why are you shouting so loudly? Qin Feng woke up from his dream, and he didn't admit to taking advantage of it at all. What can he know as a child, and what evil thoughts can he have? You. Zi Yuan was so aggrieved that she was speechless for a long time, and she really couldn't do anything with Qin Feng, a brat. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for taking advantage of the girls and getting 200 villain points. Qin Feng raised his eyebrows and sensed that someone was coming. He hurriedly stepped forward to cover Zi Yuan's small mouth, and dragged her to hide in the grass. Regarding the sword light that suddenly appeared last night, he still feels lingering fear when he recalls it. There is an extremely terrifying sword intent in it, as if it does not belong to the world. Is it Lin San's whole card? Qin Feng murmured in his heart, inexplicably feeling that it was Lin San. As we all know, Lin San has obtained the inheritance of the Sky Sword God. In order to ensure the safety of his heirs, it is reasonable to reserve some means of life-saving. Tread. There was a sound of rapid footsteps. I saw 5 young men from the Weihu gang rushing over after hearing the sound. Unlike last night, they were more or less wounded today, which shows that they were also attacked by the storm of sword energy last night. The leading brother said, "It should be the girl from last night. I think they haven't gone far. Go back and call someone." It's just that before he finished speaking, Qin Feng burst out of the grass like a sixth child. After a night of recovery last night, his blue bar was finally full and he could continue surfing again. Nod your head and draw your sword. There was the crisp clanging and drawing of the sword, and the icy chill swept across the entire forest. Whoosh! A gloomy sword light flashed towards the front, and the sharp wind of the sword flashed past. Puff! 5 streams of blood surged wildly, and the figures of the 5 people also smashed to the ground like a kite that had been unthreaded. Their pupils shrank slightly, and then gradually turned white, with no breath left. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing 5 people and getting 500 villain points. Is he really a child? Zi Yuan was shocked for a while, killed 5 people with one sword without blinking an eyelid. Let's go quickly. Qin Feng took Zi Yuan's little hand and left quickly, knowing that the Weihu gang would definitely hunt them down later. At this time, not far away on a hillside, the leader of the Weihu gang, that is, the man with the scar, had an extremely gloomy face, and the sleeve of his right hand fluttered in the wind. It was obvious that the inside was empty, and he lost his most intimate right hand. When Lin San cut out that sword, he finally understood what Tianjiao is. If he hadn't given up his right hand decisively, he might have to go directly to get the lunchbox. These geniuses are too terrifying. The man with the scar felt lingering fear, but his heart was inexplicably excited. The value of Qin Feng is absolutely beyond doubt, and Lin San also has a great inheritance. If he gets it, he can occupy a place in this ancient world. As for Zi Yuan, if you are rich and powerful, you naturally need to be accompanied by beautiful women. If you have a bet, you don't necessarily lose. The scarred man struggled for a while, and decided to take a gamble. If you win, the beauty is in your arms, and you are at ease. If you lose, Chrysanthemum will die. Let him choose. A younger brother came to report. Clan leader, I found that young man named Lin San. A brother saw that he opened a relic, and now he has entered. There are still ruins here. The man with the scar was stunned on the spot. He has been the king of the mountain here for decades, and he has never heard of any relics. Why did this Lin San find the relics as soon as he came here? Is he not worthy to have it? Soon, Scar Man called all the tens of thousands of disciples from the entire Weihu gang over, and he took some of the younger brothers to check the ruins, and the rest went to the forest to search for Qin Feng and Zi Yuan. Why do I feel that the other party looks down on me more or less? Qin Feng took Zi Yuan all the way, and all he met were a group of small shrimps. Those with the highest cultivation level are only at the 7th or 8th level of extraordinary, without the blessing of Tianjiao attribute, and don't even need the skill of cutting the sky and drawing the sword, and it can be easily solved with the falling leaves of the 10 ancestors. Zi Yuan replied, it should be Mr. Lin's sword last night, which made them use the main force to deal with Mr. Lin. Lin San. Qin Feng raised his eyebrows and found a blind spot. It stands to reason that the man with the scars should go all out to round him up for the reward offered by the Qin family, but now he has allocated the main force to deal with Lin San, which makes no sense logically. Unless Lin San at this time is more valuable than him. A smirk formed at the corner of Qin Feng's mouth, and he murmured, if I guess correctly, Lin San's aura should be activated. The reason why this guy stayed and didn't go back to Tianjin City with Lin Xian'er is probably because of these treasures. What are you muttering about? Zi Yuan asked curiously. Nothing, let's go. In order to prove his conjecture, Qin Feng pulled Zi Yuan and began to walk back. Now he must find Lin San as soon as possible, and Jiehu before his aura is fully activated. Hey, are you crazy? Knowing that they are hunting us, you want to go back? Zi Yuan hurriedly reminded her, but Qin Feng couldn't help but put his arms around her small waist, and used Phantom Happy to float through the forest. Woo! Zi Yuan has no power to resist, and can only let this little kid do whatever he wants. Soon Qin Feng came to the place where he met the man with the scar last night. All the trees with a radius of 1,000 meters had been cut off in half, and there was a sword mark tens of meters deep on the ground, which showed how terrifying Lin San's whole card was. This is really Mr. Lin's masterpiece. Zi Yuan couldn't help swallowing, unable to imagine what kind of power it was. The chosen one is much more terrifying than I imagined. Qin Feng secretly rejoiced that he didn't confront Lin San head-on. Otherwise, even if he has double pupils, he might not be his opponent, unless he uses the red-haired boss experience role. No, I have to find a way to strengthen myself. Qin Feng took out the supreme bone of his second brother from the portable space. A mysterious rune surged on it, and he could vaguely feel the power of heaven and earth contained in it. As long as you transplant it to yourself, you can master this power of heaven and earth. This is... Zi Yuan stared at the supreme bone curiously, wanting to ask Qin Feng what it was, but before she could ask, she saw Qin Feng's eyes were as sharp as a knife's edge. He took out the sky sword and stabbed it into his chest, removed his original bone, and transplanted the supreme bone. Even though the blood kept flowing, he gritted his teeth and insisted on not saying a word. You. Zhi Yuan was stunned by the scene in front of her. She couldn't imagine that a kid would be so cruel to her. Chapter 24. Let the bullets fly for a while. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As a brother of the same mother, the supreme bone shouldn't reject me, right? Qin Feng's painful face was distorted and deformed, but he still gritted his teeth and persisted. He knew that if he wanted to survive in this world, he would not only be cruel to others, but also harder to himself. If you can't even bear this bit of pain, how can you wander around in the future? You are crazy. How can someone stab yourself with a sword? Zhi Yuan finally recovered from the shock, and hurried forward to bandage Qin Feng's wound, but before she could do anything, the wound on Qin Feng's body began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was completely healed within 10 minutes, and there was not even a scar left. Ever since he comprehended the 33-day good fortune judgment of the third heaven, Qin Feng's self-healing ability has become more and more perverted. Although he can't say that he has achieved the rebirth of a severed limb, there is still no problem with the rebirth of a severed finger. What kind of monster are you? Zhi Yuan was stunned in shock, and her heart could not be calm for a long time. It's fine for an 8-year-old kid who can leapfrog challenges, but also possesses such terrifying killer moves as heaven slashing and drawing swordsmanship, Dawei Tianlong, and now even has super self-healing ability, Nima. Taking out any of these abilities can make the old monsters in the ancient times ashamed, but now it's all concentrated on one person, a kid who is only 8 years old. Looking at Lin San's terrifying sword strike last night, the world of great struggle has really come. This year's peerless arrogance is too strong. You are the monster, your whole family are monsters. Qin Feng rolled his eyes cursing and began to look for traces of Lin San running away last night. Wait for me. Zhi Yuan hurriedly chased after her, but she didn't dare to be alone. You must always be by Qin Feng's side so that she can hug her thigh at any time. Not long time, the two avoided the disciples of the tiger gang who were being hunted down, and came to a stone wall in the forest. They saw a black whirlpool on the stone wall, which could swallow everything like a black hole. Remains. Qin Feng's eyes lit up, and he couldn't bear it in his heart. As for the relics, he heard from the 10 patriarchs that they were small worlds opened up by those powerful beings, and most of them would store the inheritance of great powers and the magic weapons used before him. Even if there is no inheritance and magic weapon, there can still be treasures of heaven and earth bred in it. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for triggering the villain mission, snatching the chance treasure of the chosen one, and rewarding the golden treasure box 1. No wonder you ignored me and ran to find Lin San. Qin Feng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The chosen one is really unreasonable. It's like God chasing after him to feed him, but he, the villain, can only complete the task by himself. What are you waiting for? Let's go in. Zhi Yuan was extremely excited. She is a heroine who has come out to roam the rivers and lakes, so she has no reason not to enter the ruins. Now is not the time. Qin Feng looked up at the time, and found a secret place to sit cross-legged and practice. As a 10-year-old bookworm, he can say responsibly that downloading a dungeon with the protagonist is more difficult than Tian going through 99 heavens. Teammates are easily sacrificed to heaven, and enemies are all tool people. Once the halo is on, there is no distinction between the enemy and the enemy. It's better to let the bullets fly for a while, because I can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. What does it mean? Zhi Yuan hurriedly chased after her to inquire. However, Qin Feng didn't intend to answer. He had already entered into a state of cultivation, and the aura around him also began to slowly pour into his body. The supreme bone transplanted into the body before did not show any rejection, and the mysterious runes flowing from it also began to swim in the body, from which a supernatural power called Heaven's Jiguang was born. This is the supernatural power contained in the supreme bone. The 1-month halo of enlightenment that Qin Feng exchanged last time is still there, and he began to try to understand the heavenly robbery light in the supreme bone. Boom. The void vibrated, and the vast sea-like power of heaven and earth swept towards Qin Feng. In front of this power of heaven and earth, everything in the world seemed so insignificant. Qin Feng had difficulty breathing, just like a climber moving forward. He could feel the doubled pressure every step forward. His feet were struggling, and his figure kept shaking. but what followed was a deepened understanding of the power of heaven and earth, and the understanding in his heart became clearer and clearer. Although the heaven's tribulation light of the supreme bone is good, it can only be used as an auxiliary method. Qin Feng didn't spend too much energy on the supreme bone, but instead focused on his invincible double pupil. Now due to his limited cultivation, many abilities of the double pupil have not yet been developed. In addition to seeing the source, only the two abilities of decomposing movements and slowing down speed have been developed. Do these Tianjiao have nothing else to do besides cultivation? Ziyuan sat cross-legged with her chin in her hand. She wanted to venture into the ruins but she didn't dare, so she could only wait here for Qin Feng to wake up and take her in. Go. Her stomach growled unsatisfactorily, and Ziyuan wanted to eat Qin Feng's chicken again. In the remains, Lin San was vigilant with a sword in one hand and a map in the other. Originally, he wanted to go back to Tianjin City with Lin Xiner, but he accidentally got a broken map on the way, and it happened to be a complete map with the one on him, and the target relic happened to be on the Qin family's territory. This is no coincidence. Based on the theory of who gets it first, he returns alone to find the ruins on the map. It's just that he met Qin Feng halfway, and thinking of the influence of the Qin family in the east, he dared not open the ruins for fear of being eaten by the Qin family. Fortunately, Qin Feng took Ziyuan away last night, allowing him time to explore the ruins. What? There were screams one after another in the distance. Lin San just glanced back indifferently, knowing that the members of the Tiger Gang had already entered the ruins. Unlike the Qin family who covered the sky with their hands in the east, the Tiger Gang did not pose any threat to him, and the traps in the ruins alone were enough for them to drink a pot. You still have to speed up, it will be troublesome if the Qin family finds out. Following the guidance on the map, Lin San successfully avoided the traps and went straight to the treasure place in the ruins. Outside the ruins, Qin Feng has been sitting cross-legged for a long time, and the spiritual power in his body has reached a critical point. Bang! A muffled sound came from inside the body, accompanied by a wave of air sweeping away. It's over, the training is over. Ziyuan, who was originally weak, immediately regained her spirits, looking forward to Qin Feng waiting for her to eat the roast chicken. Third level of the transcendent realm. Qin Feng exhaled deeply, and could clearly feel the changes in his body. If his aura could only shoot 5 meters away from the body, after breaking through to the third level of the transcendent realm, it would be able to shoot 10 meters away, and the power would be even stronger than before. Like a 40-year-old middle-aged man who wets his shoes against the wind, he becomes a young man who urinates against the wind. Tread, tread, tread. There was a sudden sound of hurried footsteps, and thousands of disciples of the Tiger Gang rushed out from all directions. No, it was discovered. Ziyuan panicked and pulled Qin Feng to run away quickly. Even if Qin Feng had the qualifications of a great emperor, he couldn't stop so many people from the other side. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone, we have no grudges in the past, and we have no grudges these days, so we won't. Ziyuan looked at the thousands of disciples of the Tiger Gang around her, knowing that even if the chance of escaping was zero, she could only try to keep smiling, and said that it was Lin San's good deed that they didn't kill the disciples of the Tiger Gang. It doesn't matter anymore, our goal is Qin Feng. Thousands of Weihu Gang disciples looked excited, looking at Qin Feng as if LSP met a peerless beauty. Why are they targeting you? Ziyuan hid behind Qin Feng and felt incomprehensible. It was fine to kill the disciples of the Weihu Gang, but instead organized thousands of people to besiege Qin Feng. Qin Feng thought for a while and said, it should be because I'm handsome. Ziyuan couldn't help but roll her eyes. She didn't expect the little kid to be quite narcissistic. The leading team leader said, Master Qin, you are already surrounded by us and there is nowhere to escape. I advise you to catch him quickly, lest the sword be blind. Are you sure you surrounded me? Qin Feng didn't panic in the face of thousands of tricks, and even felt an inexplicable excitement in his heart. Since he refined the 9 swords of the sky with the help of the 10 ancestors, he has been using the 9 swords of the sky against the enemy, ignoring that it can also be divided into 9 swords for group battles. Is the child not sick? Thousands of Weihu Gang disciples couldn't help laughing, thinking that this eldest son of the Qin family was a little out of his mind. it is sure to be surrounded by them. Could it be that he alone surrounded thousands of them? If you don't surrender, then go, the leader gave an order, and thousands of people rushed towards Qin Feng. It's over, Ziyuan closed her eyes in despair, not to mention how sad she was, especially now that her stomach is still growling. She might not be able to eat Qin Feng's chicken before she dies. Buzz! A series of ear-piercing sword cries suddenly sounded. I saw Qin Feng quickly pinched out a finger, and the long sky sword in front of him split into 9 miniature swords, floating in the air and surrounding him. 9 swords come out. Qin Feng pinched out another finger, pointing at the 1,000 people rushing forward. Call out, call out, call out. The sound of breaking the wind continued continuously, and the 9 swords pierced through the void like a shooting star, without any fancy movements, and went straight to Harvest Heads crazily. What is this? Everyone quickly realized that something was wrong, and seeing people falling down, the fear in their hearts continued to spread, because the 9 swords are very small and miniature, and they appear and disappear. People are hard to guard against. They harvested hundreds of heads in a short while, and no one can get close to Qin Feng. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for beheading 1 person and gaining 100 villain points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for beheading 1 person and gaining 100 villain points. As the heads were continuously being harvested, the system sound kept ringing. Run, he's a devil. Finally, someone couldn't bear the fear in his heart, turned around and started to run away in horror, and understood that the ferocity of the eldest son of the Qin family had nothing to do with his age. The short, flat and fast speed of the sword, no matter how many people come, it is useless. With the first escape, there will be the second, and the third. Fear began to spread, and no one thought about the reward offered by the Qin family anymore, and only wanted to leave the big devil as soon as possible. My God! Ziyuan covered her lips and exclaimed, stunned by the scene in front of her, this is the legendary peerless arrogance. Even if he is besieged by thousands of people, he is not his single enemy. Whoosh! Qin Feng exhaled deeply, and waved his hand to recall the 9 small swords. Don't look at him killing these tricks like cutting leeks, but controlling the 9 small swords still consumes a lot of energy. Even if Tianbao Gourd quickly returns to blue, it won't last for too long. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for beheading 232 people and gaining 23,200 villain points. Ho ho. Qin Feng exhaled again to calm himself down. Although the benefits brought by killing are very considerable, killing is also addictive, and it is easy for people to fall into the devil's way. Therefore, practitioners are very restrained to avoid falling into the devil's way. Of course, some people will choose to actively fall into the devil's way for the sake of power. It's just that he wants a background and a cheat, so there's really no need to put on a smoky makeup and make himself look like a ghost or a ghost. At this time, more than a dozen figures appeared in the sky, and they were floating in the air with flying swords on their feet. Entering Dao Realm Cultivator, Ziyuan couldn't help but exclaimed, a monk who has entered the Dao realm came from somewhere. Dao entry cultivators are strong men above the Lingwu state. From the word entrance to Tao, it can be seen that they have already comprehended what Tao is, and they have truly stepped into the door of cultivation and seeking longevity. I found you, Qin Feng. More than a dozen Taoist monks looked at Qin Feng, still looking at the peerless beauty from LSP. Why are you looking for you again? Ziyuan hurriedly hid behind Qin Feng, and could clearly feel that the other party was not kind. It's hard to think about it, it must be Lin San using my name to bluff outside. Qin Feng analyzes from the perspective of a 10-year-old bookworm. He is too familiar with the protagonist's shameless methods. They often use the name of the villain to spread hatred to the villain on the basis of the principle of discrediting if they can't beat them. Anyway, he would not admit to life or death, he is a wanted criminal. I didn't expect Mr. Lin to be this kind of person. Ziyuan has never seen the dangers of society, yet she actually believes the words of this big villain. Let's go. Qin Feng watched more than a dozen Taoist monks coming to kill him, and he quickly rushed into the ruins with Ziyuan, intending to increase the difficulty for Lin San, to give the protagonist more than a dozen big swords. Remains. The eyes of more than a dozen or so cultivators brightened. They didn't have the slightest resistance to the ruins, and hurriedly drove the flying swords into the ruins. With a whirlwind, Qin Feng and Ziyuan entered the ruins, no different from the outside world, with mountains, rivers, forests, and the alternation of the sun and the moon. This is the space opened up by the Almighty. Qin Feng was stunned by the scene in front of him. He couldn't imagine what kind of cultivation could create a small world. Let's go quickly, those people will catch up soon. Ziyuan was not too surprised by this, and quickly rushed into the forest with Qin Feng. At the same time, those cultivators who came for the Qin family's hunting order also rushed one after another, and easily obtained the whereabouts of Qin Feng from the escaped disciples of the Weihu gang, and also found the ruins. For a while, the news of the ruins came, attracting countless treasure-hunting practitioners. The old man counts, this is a very dangerous place. Qin Feng saw so many people entering the ruins to hunt for treasure, and he didn't need to think about it to know that the difficulty of the dungeon must be very high. Coupled with Lin San's aura of the protagonist, there is absolutely no one in 10 who can get out alive. You can tell divination? Ziyuan asked curiously. Will not. Qin Feng cast a glance at Ziyuan. This is a very dangerous place. Chapter 26 Don't be mercy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No, you're still pretending here. Ziyuan couldn't help but give Qin Feng a blank look. He was already full of charm at such a young age. You do not understand. Qin Feng has absolute confidence in himself. As long as there are many people who enter the dungeon under the protagonist, he will encounter unexpected dangers. In the end, only a few people manage to escape, and with lingering fears, they publicize the protagonist's pretentious process everywhere. Ding, ding, ding. There was a rush of fighting sounds nearby, and one didn't need to think about it to know that someone was fighting for the treasure. Since the ruins have been closed for too long, a lot of natural materials and earthly treasures have grown inside. After entering the forest, Qin Feng and Ziyuan also found some, but they are all ordinary goods, far from the level of fighting. Go and see. Qin Feng asked a question tentatively, in exchange for which Ziyuan nodded excitedly. Also to ensure that he would not be recognized, Qin Feng even wiped some dust on his face and body, making him look dusty, not like the son of a rich family. Soon, the two sneaked to the scene, only to see that several groups of people had already killed their eyes, and dozens of corpses were lying on the ground. And the ground was even stained red with blood. Not far from them is a vine with dozens of small, tomato-like fruits bearing red light. It's blood bone.I. Ziyuan was so excited that she almost yelled out, but she could only control her emotions by pinching Qin Feng's arm. In fact, it's not to blame for her expression, it's because the blood bone.I is too rare. If heaven, material and earth treasures are divided into 4 grades of heaven, earth, black and yellow, then bone.I is a heaven grade, or a rare species in the sky grade. After taking it, it can not only treat injuries, but also enhance one's own skills, and has the effects of consolidating the foundation and cultivating vitality. The most amazing thing is that it can be used without restrictions. There is no setting that the effect will be greatly reduced after taking it once, and it is a treasure that practitioners dream of. It's just that once the blood bone.I starts to be picked, its vines will wither rapidly, so it cannot be cultivated and transplanted. Only those with great luck can encounter it, which is also one of the reasons why it is extremely rare. Unacceptable. Qin Feng looked at the arm that was pinched red, and said that he never held grudges, and usually revenged on the spot. It hurts, take it easy, take it easy. Before Ziyuan could react, his thigh was pinched by Qin Feng. Since there are several groups of people fighting in front of them now, they can only restrain themselves from making a sound, look at Qin Feng pitifully, and express that they are really wrong, and they will never dare to pinch him again. Let go of you first. Qin Feng let go of his hand. It has to be said that the hand feels really good. Whoops, off topic. Now the strength of several groups of people is very strong, not only the spirit martial state, but also the Taoist monks. Even if he has just broken through the 3rd level of the supermortal state, the supreme bone, the invincible double pupil and other cards are all used. He is definitely not their opponent, unless you use the full-level red-haired old monster experience coupon. It's just a sledgehammer to deal with this group of dragons. What a stinky brother, Ziyuan muttered aggrievedly. She was in so much pain that she almost burst into tears, but in the next second, she forgot about the pain. I saw Qin Feng staring at the blood body in front of him, stretched out his hand to grab it from the air, and actually grabbed a blood body. How did you do it? Ziyuan hurriedly rubbed her eyes, and after confirming that she was reading correctly, Buling's big eyes were full of small stars when she looked at Qin Feng. Secret, Qin Feng didn't intend to explain. After confirming that fetching things from space was useful, he started to attack the blood body crazily. The vines that were originally covered with blood body decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's just that the more Ziyuan looked at it, the more something went wrong, and she always felt that this trick was very familiar. As if thinking of something, Ziyuan's pretty face flushed red. The scene in front of her was very similar to the disappearance of her bellyband that night. That is to say, the criminal that night was not Lin San, but Qin Feng, a brat. I thought this was a brat who didn't understand anything, but now it seems that he obviously knows more than her. What a perverted brother. No wonder my aunt would say that men don't have a good thing. Ziyuan blushed slightly, and inexplicably thought of the next sentence that the aunt said, but the man has a good thing, and she doesn't know what it means. What are you talking about? Qin Feng turned his head and asked. Nothing. Ziyuan's face flushed, and she said casually, how about taking this much? Don't be merciful. Based on the mentality of not taking nothing, Qin Feng didn't intend to keep any of them. Wait, stop hitting. The fighting people also noticed something was wrong. Only a few of the vines covered with blood body were left, and they didn't show any intention of stopping. In front of them, they decreased one by one until the last one disappeared, and the vines also withered. Who did it? Several people were furious, and the small universe couldn't hold it down anymore. After fighting for such a long time, brothers sacrificed so much, but in the end they didn't even get a single blood body. Who can accept this matter? Who are you? A group of people found Qin Feng and Ziyuan who were about to run away, and immediately rushed forward to surround them. It turned out to be two little ghosts from the transcendent realm. That everyone was disappointed when they saw their cultivation, and they didn't think that the transcendent realm could be under their noses, and none of them would be left with the blood body. And many more. Someone frowned and looked at the disheveled Qin Feng, always feeling that he looked very familiar. What are you looking at? Do you know who my big brother is? Qin Feng didn't panic at all, and arrogantly said, speaking out will scare you to death. My eldest brother is Lin San, the famous descendant of the Sky Sword God, and he and I are half-brothers. Lin San. Several passers-by immediately exclaimed, obviously no stranger to Lin San, known as the first sword after 100 years, he is also the descendant of the Sky Sword God, and not long ago he had a fight with the eldest son of the Qin family, Qin Feng, who has the qualifications of a great emperor. It can be said that he is a famous young man in the world, and he is also a popular arrogance in the world of great struggle, with the city of Tianjin as his backer. I can't afford it, I can't afford it. A half-brother. Ziyuan couldn't help rolling her eyes, and found that Qin Feng was really capable of nonsense. Qin Feng was stunned by the scene, and did not forget to fan the flames. I am not afraid to tell you that this ruin was opened by my elder brother 3 days ago, and the blood body is not wanted by my elder brother. If you offend me, you can think about the end for yourself. Everyone couldn't help but glanced at each other and ignored the last sentence. They learned from the disciples of the Weihu gang that it was indeed Lin San who opened the ruins, and they could basically confirm that Qin Feng was telling the truth. In other words, is it understandable that Lin San found a peerless treasure in the ruins, and he didn't even look down on treasures like blood body? Whoa! The crowd immediately scattered like birds and beasts, looking for Lin San full of ruins. Chapter 27. I can see you are not human. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What a bad brother. Ziyuan was very speechless watching from the side, and she didn't know where Lin San had offended him. Soon, the news about Lin San's acquisition of the peerless treasure came from the ruins. All the cultivators were looking for Lin San's whereabouts. Lin San was so angry that he scolded his mother, who was the one who was telling the truth. Akiu. Qin Feng couldn't help but sneezed, suspecting that someone was speaking ill of him behind his back, but soon his attention was attracted by the blood bode, and he got a total of 32. After eating one, the huge energy exploded in the body immediately. The effect of consolidating the foundation and cultivating the essence makes the somewhat unstable foundation that has just broken through the third level of the transcendent realm immediately become more solid and powerful. As expected of a rare heaven rank, it is really powerful. After Ziyuan ate one, she was also surprised by the effect. At this time, a woman in ancient white clothes appeared, looking at the blood bode in Qin Feng's hand very complicated. "Sister, what's the matter with you?" Ziyuan asked curiously. "What sister?" Qin Feng grabbed Ziyuan, and said coldly, "Monster, I can tell at a glance that you are not human." "Not a human? Isn't that a demon?" Ziyuan was taken aback, and hurriedly hid behind Qin Feng. Different from the toothed tiger monster they saw last time, this kind of monster that can transform into a human form is definitely the biggest monster among monsters, and its strength can be described as terrifying. Yes, she is a demon. Ever since Qin Feng learned the mighty Tianlong, he has the ability to distinguish between people and demons. He can be very sure that the woman in white in front of him is the great demon in form. Don't get me wrong, I have no ill intentions. The woman in white was very surprised that Qin Feng could tell that she was a demon at a glance. "Do you think we'll believe it?" Qin Feng didn't dare to relax for a moment, pinching the fingers of Dwei Tianlong. He had heard from the 10 patriarch a long time ago that there were thousands of races in ancient times, and among them, the human race and the monster race were the most fierce. The woman in white hesitated for a moment before she said, "Actually, I entered the ruins to find treasures of heaven and earth for my newborn child. It's just that I'm very weak after giving birth, and I can't compete with those people for blood bode. I don't want many, just 10. That's it." "Done." The woman in white looked at Qin Feng pleadingly in her eyes. As a monster in shape, it is actually a very dangerous act for her to reveal the news that she just gave birth. It must be known that the big monster is full of treasures. Once outsiders know about it, they will definitely take advantage of her weakness to catch her, skin her skin and cramps, and either refine it into a magic weapon, or refine it into an elixir. It will be even worse if you meet those beast masters. You will be put on a beast master collar and lose your freedom. So she is betting that Qin Feng is not that kind of person. Looking at the pleading eyes of the woman in white, Qin Feng seemed to see his mother in a trance. In the past 8 years, Yun Xia's love for him can be said to be meticulous. Now that he chooses to take this path, the one who hurts the most is probably this mother. "For the sake of great maternal love, I can give you 10 in a humanitarian spirit." Qin Feng changed the subject and said, "But I think as a mother, you don't want your children to have the idea of getting something for nothing in the future. It's fine for everyone to express their opinions. I will accept 100,000 top-quality spirit stones from you for one blood bode." Puff! Ziyuan almost spit out a mouthful of old blood, and found that Qin Feng was really bad. Shouting humanitarianism in his mouth, but pretending to be business in his heart. I don't have a spirit stone." The woman in white showed a look of embarrassment. She was really shy. "It doesn't matter if you don't have money, we can talk about resources." Qin Feng took out his small notebook with a smile, believing that there is still something about the big monster who can transform into form. For example, there are treasures of heaven and earth, there are relics of power, and there are so-and-so secrets. This. The woman in white still feels very embarrassed, and has no resources to tell Qin Feng. "Good guy, I've seen poor people, but I've never seen a monster as poor as you." Qin Feng is completely convinced, and he doesn't know how she turned into a big monster. At this time an exclamation sounded from a distance. Lin San was found, and a super powerful baby was also found. Found it so quickly, Qin Feng's eyes lit up, and he took Ziyuan to hurry. Before leaving, he couldn't help but look back at the woman in white. Seeing the confusion about the future and self-blame as a mother in her eyes, he finally couldn't hold back and threw a small package to her. It's not that his thief soul has awakened, but the villain's intuition tells him that he can make money. This is. The woman in white opened the small package with surprise on her face, only to see that it was full of blood bodhisattvas. Unlike the 10 she said, Qin Feng gave her 15, the extra 5 would allow her to regain her vitality as soon as possible. Thank you, the woman in white thanked Qin Feng in the direction of her departure, then turned around happily and left the ruins quickly. You just gave it to her like this? Zi Yuan was a little puzzled. Just make a good relationship. Qin Feng didn't explain too much, even if the shape-changing demon is poor and has no money, but such terrifying strength is still there, it is better to give charcoal now than to add to the cake in the future. Perhaps one day in the future, this good fortune could save his life. Not long time, Qin Feng followed the crowd to find Lin San. I saw that he was surrounded by a group of people at this time, and there was a stone platform with an enchantment not far behind him, on which was placed a beautifully carved jade box. One can tell at a glance that the treasure inside is the most valuable among the relics, and it is also the ultimate goal of Lin San's coming here. It seems that I can't get it out. Qin Feng tried to fetch objects from the air, but because his cultivation base was too low, he couldn't penetrate the barrier to take out the jade box. Damn! Seeing more and more people gathered, Lin San felt very angry. Originally, relying on the advantage of the map, it was very easy to scrape away all the treasures in the ruins. As long as the barrier is broken, and the final treasure is obtained, they can retire, but I don't know which Dade sent the news, mobilized the entire ruins to find him, and was discovered just as he was about to break the barrier. Now it is obviously impossible to eat alone. Even if he played all his cards, he would not be able to do so many monks in the spiritual realm, and he could only outwit them. Lin San, this treasure has nothing to do with you. Dozens of Taoist monks found that there were no people from the city of Tianjin present, and stepped on the flying sword condescendingly to make Lin San leave quickly. Then you can take care of yourself. Lin San didn't say anything more, and silently stepped aside. It's not right. When did the chosen one become so talkative? According to his 10-year experience as a bookworm, if the chosen one didn't show any violent reaction when he was preyed on by others, it probably meant that someone was about to suffer bad luck. Qin Feng frowned, realizing that this matter was not simple. He pulled Zi Yuan and quietly retreated behind everyone. Chapter 28 Old 6 Qin Feng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Heir of the Sky Sword. The first sword after 100 years. Dozens of Taoist monks couldn't help but sneer, feeling that the evaluation of Lin San was really exaggerated. If it weren't for the city of Tianjin pushing him from behind, they would have stripped him down to the point where there wasn't even a pair of underwear left. Everyone, if you want to get the treasure, you need us to join hands to break the barrier. Someone suggested that they join hands to break the barrier here first, and then compete for the jade box in the barrier based on their own abilities. Agree. Agree. The other Taoist monks nodded in agreement, and they all knew very well that if they didn't join hands to break the barrier quickly, it would be their turn to call the shots when someone stronger than them came. Do it. Someone took the lead and pinched out a command, and the violent energy immediately vented from the body. Seeing someone taking the lead, others also shot. All of a sudden, countless streams of energy fell from the sky like meteors, causing violent vibrations in the void, causing ripples to spread continuously. Boom. Everyone's attacks hit the barrier without any deviation, and there was a deafening roar. It's just that, unlike the shattered scene that everyone imagined, countless energies were actually absorbed by the barrier, making the barrier present a colorful color pattern. Not good. Everyone in the audience widened their eyes in horror, and could feel the energy gathering and expanding. Not daring to have the slightest hesitation, he quickly assumed a defensive posture. Boom. Another shocking roar resounded through the world, and all the energy gathered in the barrier was released, accompanied by a terrifying energy storm sweeping across the entire ruins. Wherever he went, it was a mess, especially those melon eaters who watched the excitement in the front row. Those with strong cultivation could survive half of their lives, and those with weak cultivation received their lunch boxes on the spot. Scared me. Zi Yuan was so frightened that her heart was beating wildly, and she held Qin Feng's hand tightly and did not let go. If Qin Feng hadn't pulled her back behind the crowd just now, her small body would not have been able to withstand such violent ravages. I knew this guy had no good intentions. Qin Feng couldn't help turning his head to look at Lin San, only to see that the corner of his mouth was raised very proudly. Damn, damn. Dozens of cultivators in the sky shouted in despair. but they didn't expect that this enchantment would have anti-injury effects. If they wanted to break it open by force, they had to output energy that reached the limit of the enchantment. Obviously, they can't. At this time, a series of hideous openings suddenly opened around the barrier, and continued to spread along the way, and cracks like spider webs also appeared in the void. Obviously it is a test left by the owner of the ruins. If no one can break the barrier with their own skills, they will only use brute force to force it open, then the level of self-destruction of the ruins will be triggered. His treasures can only be handed over to geniuses, not mediocrities. No, the ruins are about to collapse. Everyone was terrified and rushed out. Damn! Dozens of Taoists were so angry that they almost came to anti, feeling as if they hadn't eaten the sheep and made their whole body fishy, but it's too late to say anything now. If you don't want to die, you must leave here quickly. Why are you still in a daze? Let's go quickly. Ziyuan hurriedly pulled Qin Feng away, but he had no intention of leaving, and was staring at Lin San with piercing eyes. Qin Feng. Lin San was very surprised that Qin Feng was here, and he had to suspect that Qin Feng was the sixth son behind him, but now he has no time to prove it. He must quickly open the enchantment to get the jade box. I saw Lin San pinch out a finger quickly, and poked hard at the corner of the barrier. Boom. The barrier instantly shattered like glass, flashing a sky-high light, and accompanied by a breath of the Holy Spirit sweeping across the entire ruins. The enchantment is opened. The Taoist monks who were just about to leave immediately turned around and rushed towards the jade box on the stone platform. It's just that the distance between them was obviously too late. Lin San raised the corner of his mouth, grabbed the jade box, and took out another yellow talisman full of runes. Space teleporter. Dozens of cultivators who entered the Dao realm shouted that it was not good, and resorted to their strongest attacks to stop it, but the distance is still too far. Lin San has already activated the space teleportation talisman, surrounded by runes around his body, and still waved to them triumphantly to say goodbye. It's now. Qin Feng fixed his eyes on the jade box, and grabbed it hard with the help of fetching objects from the air. He didn't grab the jade box in Lin San's hand, but he grabbed the treasure in the jade box, no matter what it was, and threw it directly into the portable space. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for completing the villain's mission and getting the golden treasure chest 1. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for destroying the chance of the chosen one and getting a chance to draw a lottery. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for snatching the treasure of the chosen one and getting 100 million villain points. 100 million villain points. Qin Feng couldn't help but tremble in his heart. It is completely conceivable how powerful this treasure is. The reward alone has millions of villain points. If it is exchanged from the system, it will cost hundreds of millions of villain points. Boom. The attack at the Dao realm finally arrived. But it was a lonely blow. Lin San had already used the space teleportation talisman to run away. The space teleportation talisman can't run far. Chase after it. Dozens of cultivators who entered the Dao realm screamed angrily. They didn't expect so many people to be tricked by a brat. Let's go too. Qin Feng didn't stop after he got the treasure. He dragged Ziyuan and hurried to the exit. The surrounding land was also collapsing, replaced by pitch blackness. If he fell, he would be strangled by the power of space. Help me! The sound of crying father and mother was heard throughout the ruins, and countless people were swallowed up before they could escape. Let him hit the mark again. This place is indeed a place of great evil. Ziyuan swallowed in horror, seeing too many tests of human nature along the way. Some people don't hesitate to use their companions as stepping stones in order to survive. Some people want to die with their relatives and friends before they die, and some couples take the lead when they are in trouble. Boom. Just when Qin Feng and the two were about to reach the exit, the ground under their feet collapsed instantly, and the two lost their balance and fell. What? Ziyuan immediately screamed, hiding in Qin Feng's arms, not daring to open her eyes. Fuck. Qin Feng couldn't help swearing, and used phantom happy to the extreme, stepping on the falling stones to climb up. It's a pity that all around collapsed, and he has no way to escape now. It's a pity that this kind of scene is not used to flirt with girls. Qin Feng threw the purple kite in his arms towards the exit, while he fell down with a smile on his face, and was ready to log into the full-level red-haired old monster at any time to save himself. Qin Feng. Ziyuan let out a heart-piercing cry, wanting to catch the fallen Qin Feng, but the distance between the two sides was getting farther and farther, and a different emotion was raised in her heart for this little kid. Whoosh! A white figure suddenly rushed into the ruins, and quickly chased after the fallen Qin Feng. Chapter 29. You are listening at Mtlnovel. Is her. The surprise on Ziyuan's face couldn't be concealed. The person who came was the great transformation demon. You are really my half-sister, you came at the right time. Qin Feng was so moved that he burst into tears, and almost used the red-haired old monster experience pass, which meant that he would not be able to wander around for the next 10 years. Whoosh! The woman in white can fly freely in the air without using any magic weapon, grabbed Qin Feng and quickly rushed out of the entrance of the ruins, and then the whole ruins collapsed and disappeared between the sky and the earth. Smelly brother, you scared me to death. Ziyuan rushed over with tears in her eyes, and hugged Qin Feng in her arms. I have experienced so much with Qin Feng, and I didn't hesitate to give her the chance of life when I was in danger, so that the relationship between her and Qin Feng changed in an instant. Ding dong, it was found that the host cheated the goddess' feelings, and took advantage of the other party, and got 1,000 villain points. Who took advantage of her? Qin Feng strongly condemned the system for talking nonsense. Obviously Ziyuan took advantage of him, and hugged him tightly. He was almost out of breath now, his whole head was buried in it. At this time, Qin Feng inexplicably felt a chill behind his back. Looking up, he saw that there were only a few hundred people who survived. Some people were rejoicing for the rest of their lives after the catastrophe, but some people were looking at him with strange eyes. Yes, he is Qin Feng. Someone yelled, and immediately attracted everyone's attention. Now the portrait of Qin Feng has been spread, and their real purpose of coming here is also to arrest Qin Feng, but just happened to encounter the opening of the ruins, although Qin Feng was ashamed at this time, but if you look carefully, you will find that Qin Feng is right. Want to catch me? Come on, come on. Qin Feng stood in front of the white-clothed woman frightened, and called the fox pretending to be a tiger. Just now everyone saw with their own eyes that the woman in white flew down to save Qin Feng, not to mention them. Even if they were asked to call someone, I am afraid they would not be able to call someone of this level. Fuck. Seeing Qin Feng's mean look, the survivors couldn't help but swear. I thought that if I survived a catastrophe, I could catch Qin Feng to receive the reward, but who knew that he had a strong guard by his side, and crushing them to death was as easy as crushing ants. Stop playing, let's go. Ziyuan hurriedly pulled Qin Feng, signaling him to stop playing cheap. Why are you leaving? Qin Feng glanced back in dissatisfaction, and found that his half-sister was already sweating on her forehead. It was obvious that she was still very weak after giving birth. No wonder he didn't say a word for a long time, just quietly watching him pretending. Some of the survivors also discovered this situation, and couldn't help but start to stir in their hearts. Third brother, I don't want to do this either, it's purely forced by the situation. Qin Feng apologized to Lin San in his heart and still arrogantly said, what do you look at? Let me tell you, I don't need my sister to deal with you at all. I also have a half-brother Lin San, who just now he has already taken advantage of the chaos to open the enchantment and got the treasure, and his strength will rise to a higher level in the future. Lin San got the treasure. After quickly weighing the pros and cons, someone turned around to look for Lin San without hesitation. They don't know if Qin Feng's sister can fight, but Lin San certainly doesn't have such a sister who helps him fight. After seeing someone leave, the others became even more hesitant. No one dared to risk their lives to be the first to eat crabs, let alone Qin Feng pointed out a way for them to get rich. In other words, they even have a way out, so how can they go barefoot and fight Qin Feng desperately? Let's go. Qin Feng ignored these people and turned around to leave here. After the others struggled for a while, no one dared to step forward to stop them. They could only watch Qin Feng and the others leave helplessly, but when everyone was about to leave, a figure fell from a high altitude and stood in front of Qin Feng and the others. Bang! The opponent fell from a high altitude, setting off a cloud of dust. It's him. Qin Feng frowned. He was an old friend, it is the head snake in this area, the Scar leader of the Weihu gang, who is different from the high-spirited one before. Now not only his right hand is gone, but his left eye is also blind, and there are many more scars on his body. It can be seen that not only did he not get any benefits from Lin San, but he also didn't get any benefits from the ruins. Young Master Qin, you won't be able to leave today. That the man with the scar looked fiercely, obviously wanting to do his best. He originally thought that he entered the ruins to pick up treasures, but who knew that shameless Lin San tricked him and kept leading him into the trap. Many people died if the treasures were not found. The ruins collapsed just now, and everything was explained inside. Now he feels flustered when he sees Lin San, so he can only come to Qin Feng to gamble. In your current situation, you still want to arrest me? Qin Feng curled his lips in disgust, and didn't pay attention to the man with the scar at all. If he was in full form at the third level of the spirit martial realm, maybe he would ask his third brother for help, but now he is completely disabled, or seriously disabled, so he doesn't need his third brother to help him at all. It's enough to deal with you. The scarred man's gaze was sharp suddenly, and a terrifying aura surged around him, causing the surrounding air to shake for a while, and a fierce tiger roaring in the mountains and forests appeared behind him. So strong. Everyone around immediately held their breath, and looked at the woman in white, wanting to confirm whether she was injured and to what extent. It's just that Qin Feng didn't give them this chance, and a mysterious aura surged around him. What is this? Everyone around also sensed that something was wrong, and their eyes turned to Qin Feng, the emperor's capital, but Qin Feng seemed to be stupid. He closed his eyes and stood there motionless, while the scarred man clenched his sandbag-sized fist and blasted towards him. Just when the scarred man's fist was about to hit Qin Feng, everyone thought he was going to be hammered to death. Qin Feng's eyes suddenly opened, and a mysterious golden light burst out from his body. God robbed the light. The light was as sharp as a sharp sword that could cut gold and rocks, and it shot at the man with the scar like lightning. Boom! A muffled sound resounded in the silence, and the man with the scar who rushed forward seemed to stand still. After half a sound, he slowly fell to the ground, like a mountain collapsing suddenly, kicking up dust all over the ground. Everyone's eyes widened, and the sound of boiling followed. What is that light? What martial arts? It's so powerful, it can kill the third level of Lingwu in seconds. You bumpkin, that's not a martial skill, it's supernatural power. Supernatural powers? What kind of supernatural powers can only be possessed by geniuses with special physiques? If you guessed right, this is the supernatural power in the supreme bone. It's too scary, no wonder he can even kill his own brother. After everyone had seen Qin Feng's terror, no one dared to stop him and watched the three of them leave. On the other side, Lin San was so angry that he scolded his mother in his heart. After all, it was a lack of morality who plotted against him behind his back, and spread the news that he opened the barrier to obtain the treasure. Chapter 30. Impossible, absolutely impossible. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin family, any news about Qin Feng will be sent to Shizu and others as soon as possible. Insta-kill the leader of the Tiger Gang. Shizu and others couldn't help but exclaimed. They were frightened by Qin Feng's terror. They knew that Qin Feng's talent was very high, but they didn't expect it to be so high. The superordinary third level surpassed a large realm and instantly killed the Lingwu third level. It is simply unheard of, worthy of being a minor with the qualifications of a great emperor. Unlike the joy of other ancestors, the face of the ancestor is full of worry. Judging from the news sent back, Qin Feng used the power of the supreme bone. Once he became infatuated with this kind of power that did not belong to him, it would have a great impact on his mind. Probably not. 10 Patriarch thought for a while and said, I have taught Qin Feng for so many years. This child has his own arrogance, and he has always believed that he is the strongest, and will not be so easily influenced by the supreme bone. I hope so. That the ancestor was still worried. After all, Qin Feng is only an 8-year-old child, and his mood may change any time and anywhere, but Kai Gong has no arrows to turn back, so he can only choose to trust this child. At this time, Qin Feng and Ziyuan followed the big demon sister to a hidden grass. I saw the big demon sister gently peeling away the grass, revealing a bamboo basket with 3 newborn pure white rabbits inside. They are a little different from the rabbits in Qin Feng's Memory. They are like anthropomorphic rabbits in cartoons. They can walk on two legs, they have a very cute round head and a pair of big Caslin eyes. What a cute little bunny. Ziyuan's eyes were full of love, and she couldn't help but stepped forward to pick one up. This is my child. Sister De Yao had a happy expression on her face, seeing that the little ones were not tired at all. Child. Qin Feng didn't expect that the other party was actually a rabbit demon, and he didn't know if he could become a rabbit-eared lady. If you like it, adopt one. The big demon sister looked at Qin Feng pleadingly, and picked out the fattest one and handed it to him. What? Qin Feng and Ziyuan were punished on the spot. They also boasted that the child was cute, and the child was given to them on the spot. It was because they did not understand the local customs, or because rabbits were not afraid, and rabbits could give birth. Without waiting for Qin Feng and the two to refuse, the big demon sister flew away with Zhu Lu on her back. Before leaving, he looked back at the little guy in Qin Feng's hands full of reluctance, but in the end he gritted his teeth and left cruelly. As a mother, who would give away her child if she had no other choice, and only by giving away this child can she ensure the survival of the remaining two children and herself. The little guy seemed to feel abandoned by his mother, and kept barking in the direction of his mother's departure. However, when Qin Feng put a blood bode in front of it, he immediately forgot that he had a mother, and began to eat the blood bode happily. What's the situation? Qin Feng felt dazed and became a dad for no reason. He had heard of people feeding stray cats as children, and he had heard of people feeding stray dogs as children, but he had never seen anyone feeding big monster rabbits as children. Ding dong, I found that the host has obtained a monster cub. The aptitude is epic level, and the binding is successful. Although this rabbit doesn't have the life of the protagonist, its aptitude is actually at the same level as my second brother. Qin Feng immediately regained his spirits, and now even if the big demon sister comes back, he won't give it. It's just that he soon regretted it. This little guy is definitely not an ordinary monster, but a rare species among monsters. Unlike other cubs, it does not drink milk, but only eats natural materials and earthly treasures. A blood bode can only last for 1 day. My God, this is nothing but a bucket of rice. Qin Feng ordered some blood bode with distress, and there were only 7 left, and he only ate one, and this little guy ate all the others. At the same time, he finally knew why his mother gave it to him, and finally understood why her mother dragged her frail body all over the world to find treasures after giving birth. The landlord's family can't afford it. From today on, you can be called a rice bucket. Qin Feng named the little guy in exchange for Ziyuan's big eyes. Call it Bunny. No, idiot. Call it Pa. No, idiot. Call Xiao Bai. Okay, Daimyo, rice bucket. No matter what Ziyuan said, Qin Feng had decided on the word big bucket. Even if Jesus came, it would be useless. Qin Feng suddenly frowned, sensing that there were many more people around. You don't need to think about it, you know, it's for the Qin family's reward. Now that the big demon sister has left, the fox and the tiger can't frighten them anymore. I'm afraid it won't be long before the fierce pursuit will begin. You have to strengthen your strength. Qin Feng pulled Ziyuan to quickly get rid of the follower, hid in a hidden cave and turned on the system. This time, in addition to gaining 1,000,000 villain points, he also got a golden treasure chest, a chance to draw a lottery, and treasures in a jade box. Open the golden treasure chest first. Qin Feng called the system and opened the golden treasure chest. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for opening the golden treasure box and gaining sword intent. A chill suddenly struck, and Qin Feng seemed to see a figure in front of his eyes. Nod your head and draw your sword. Hum. The crisp sound of the sword sounded in Qin Feng's mind, with a sense of aloofness and loneliness that made his heart tremble, and the stunning sword light that stood alone suddenly appeared, gorgeous but not exaggerated, light and elegant. People are intoxicated by it, unable to extricate themselves for a long time. Qin Feng couldn't help but feel like turning into a moth. Only by tearing open the cocoon in front of him can he turn into a butterfly. Until the end, the momentum of Qin Feng's whole body soared in vain, as sharp as a sharp sword out of its sheath, cutting gold and rocks, and weeds all over the ground fell down one after another. Sword intent. Zi Yuan covered her lips and exclaimed, calling Qin Feng in her heart that she was not human. If she remembers correctly, the reason why Lin San is called the first sword after 100 years is because he comprehended the sword intent at the age of 12, breaking the record of no one in ancient times, but now this record has only been maintained for 2 years, and it was broken again by Qin Feng, an 8-year-old kid. OMG. In this world of great contention, Jianjiao is ridiculously strong. Sword intent. Qin Feng's eyes suddenly opened, and in his pitch-black eyes, there was a gleam of light that seemed to be real. Now that he had superimposed his sword intent, his skill of cutting the sky and drawing the sword became even stronger, but he is not satisfied with this, and the call system exchange is 100% suitable. Although he has learned the art of Zhantian and drawing swords, the effect is far from reaching the state of Dzogchen, and he cannot use the strongest damage bonus. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for spending 100 million villain points to exchange for a Dzogchen 100% fit card. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for using the 100% matching card and reaching the state of Dzogchen. Qin Feng's expression began to be in a trance again, and he had a deeper understanding of the art of Zhantian drawing sword. On the other side, Lin San tried his best to finally get rid of the pursuers, and opened the jade box with excitement. The expression on Lin San's face froze instantly, thinking that the opening method must be wrong. Close up. Open. Close up. Open. Repeated confirmation, empty. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Lin San couldn't accept the reality at all, thinking about which link went wrong.